my movie is about the Buddhist sculptors of Japan, as you know.
Mhm.
But so we are always interested in the function of Butsuzo. So in Tendai Buddhism, what the function of Butsuzo? So what the view of Butsuzo, Buddhist sculptures for Tendai Buddhism? Please tell us.
I think that you have to look at it in two ways. And I'll refer to this as an orthodox way. What is the official way, so to speak? And the other is in the vernacular. What is the people's understanding? And each image has both vernacular and more official or orthodox view. And the view from an orthodox perspective is that the image that one is looking at, the sculpture that one is looking at, represents the qualities of Buddhism, the qualities of mind, the qualities of kokoro, the qualities of kokoro, heart, body, speech, and mind, spirit. Kokoro is very important. And so every morning we do the morning service, the daily service, I'm sorry, we do the daily service. When we do the daily service, I do the mantra to Yakshin Yorai, which is Om Biseze, Biseze, Biseja, Sambri, Gyate, Sawaka. When I do that, I'm hoping to take on the qualities of healing. I'm hoping to take on the qualities of Yakshin Yorai, of the medicine Buddha. And then during the day, I can use my hoben, my skillful means, upaya, to carry that out. Now that's from an orthodox perspective. From a vernacular perspective, when I attended Taisho University, on a certain day every month, I would be taking the train and I would see all these old people getting off at a stop near Taisho University. And there was a Tendai temple with Yakshin Yorai, and they were going there because they had a bad shoulder or a bad hip or a bad knee. And they would go there and they would then talk to the monk, who would then pour water onto them, under their shoulder or their knee or whatever, from Yakshin Yorai that had come off of Yakshin Yorai to heal them. So the images are seen in a vernacular sense, in a common people sense, as a form of healing. To look at Amida with sincerity, with one's whole heart, with kokoro, with one's heart, mind, and spirit. For Amida, you hope to attain the Pure Land upon one's death. That is both an orthodox but also a vernacular idea, that it provides both inspiration, but it also helps you transform your mind in a way that makes it active and something positive happens to you. I don't know if that answered your question totally.
No, that's great. That's great. I love the difference between people who practice deeply with the statue versus regular people who might not have a deep understanding, but they want to connect with the statues anyway. Yeah, I love that.
And that's one of the reasons that the statues have to be beautiful. And by beauty, I don't mean always aesthetically beautiful. I mean, on my left shoulder is Bishamonten, if you can see him back there. And Bishamonten is one of the Shiteno, one of the four guardian deities, and he's the protection deity. And I wouldn't call him beautiful. He's a wrathful deity. He looks ferocious, but he gives you an idea. He gives you that sense of, I can conquer evil for the benefit of others. And so Bishamonten, by the way, becomes, in Japan, worshipped by businessmen to help their business to overcome difficulties. It becomes a symbol of a sense of well-being for the people, of a protection of a village or a neighborhood or whatever it may be. And I think that those are really important things. The other thing, and I think it's something that Tanizaki Junichiro wrote about in in praise of shadows. When we look at the gold on a statue when it's new, over time it changes. And think about 200 years ago when you were going to the temples and the temple was lit only with candles and maybe oil lamps. Now we have electric. And when we look at that image that's so gold, so bright gold, it looks a little bit garish, I think, from my aesthetic nature. However, as it gets older, the gold flakes away, it develops a patina, and the image seems to float above the shumadan, above the front altar, and it becomes a kind of inspiration. And so I think it's really important when we think of the sculpture and how the sculpture develops. If you have a deity, and I hope you don't mind my going on about this too much, but it's something that's close to my heart. When you look at a deity such as Bishamonten, he's in a sense easy to carve because he's active, he's in the heavens, there's movement that's inherent in the image. When you carve Nyorai, a standing Buddha of one who has attained awakening, like Yaksha Nyorai or Amida Nyorai, they're static. They have robes coming down, but it's harder to carve and it's harder to represent the importance. So it takes a much more skillful artist to represent that. And I think we diminish the importance sometimes, not only of what the image can mean, but also how it was created. And I would even argue that through the history of Buddhism, we don't have representations of the Buddhas until around the 2nd century CE, a long time after, 800 years or so after Shakyamuni Buddha's death. And during the Gandhara period, that's when we begin to see it. And the images themselves began to change the philosophy. The philosophy didn't just affect the image itself affected the philosophy. And so the images are vitally important to Buddhism, and that's from a Tendai perspective.